Hello, listeners. Welcome to the latest episode of the Great Indian Monologue. This is your RJ Babuji, janak, rajan. You are listening to Radio Udaan. My dear listeners, the power of a dream. The power of a dream is so big that it can fulfill any kind of possibilities one dreams of. In today's episode, I'm going to introduce you to a lady who had the power to dream and where her dreams have taken her in the relentless pursuit of the dream. Lastly, Patterson. Many of us wouldn't even have heard about her. Lastly, Patterson is from Scotland, a part of the United Kingdom, and she was actually a triathlete. A triathlete basically participates in a athletic event which has three parts, bicycling, swimming, and then running. The three parts put together is called triathlete, and she is a triathletist. She is a competitor. She practices triathletism, and she participates in many such triathlete events. When she was a little girl growing up in Scotland, in her school, as part of her study, she came across a textbook, a text prescribed by their education board, which talked about the fallacies of war, which means the hopelessness of war, any war. The title of the book was All Quiet in the Western Front. Right? All Quiet in the Western Front. You would hear about this book and the title in the coming days more and more, because it has become a global phenomenon now, not just the book, but what she did with it. And this talk show is entirely about her and her pursuit of a dream. Okay. When she was a kid, she was enamored by this book because it basically stripped off all the heroism and the villainism attached to war, and it observed the war from the point of view of a loser, a German kid, a boy born in Germany. So it's very bleak, it's very hopeless one, a hard-hitting one, which basically strips down the bare essentials of what a war means to people, common people like you and me. Right? It is an anti-war book. She was fascinated with it. She fell in love with that book, and her other passion or love was triathlete. She was competing, she was participating in many events, and she also used to play rugby when she was a small girl, before she grew up into a big girl. In rugby, she was allowed to join the boys only team, because rugby is a very hard physical game, only boys play. And even today, if you watch a rugby match in a TV channel, or if you heard about rugby, the very first thing that would come to one's mind is the brutalness of it. People jostling against each other, pulling down, and it's very physical, right? And she was allowed to play in a team of boys, and very soon she became the captain of the team, and she also won a junior championship for the team. And then she moved on to triathletism, and in triathlete, she was a very good bike rider, a very good runner, but she was a bit poor in swimming. But still, she kept practicing and pushing herself, and she started winning tournaments, right? One victory became many, and soon she started winning on global arena, on global scale. And a few times she also won the global championship for triathlete. I mean, they have some events specifically for that, and they give medals and whatnot. Okay, she started winning them. And at some point in time, she decided that, it was enough spending time with athleticism, and she wanted to do something more. When she announced her decision to retire from active participation in triathlete event, when a reporter asked her what her next step would be, she matter-of-factly told the reporter that, she would move across the world, a faraway place, to settle down in a different land, and start writing screenplays, and one day she will win an Oscar for her screenplay, an Oscar award. Right? This was some 16 years back. Then she moved on to United States of America. She she settled down with her husband, who was a sports and psychologist employed in a local university there. And she, with the help of a friend, secured the rights of the novel All Quiet in the Western Front from the husband of the author who passed away a while back. They usually have some kind of an estate, which manages the properties of a deceased person in Western countries, particularly in USA. And all the rights, from any kind of intellectual property rights or real property rights, they lie with the estate, and one has to get, permission from this estate to use the material. So she secured the right on a condition that every year she has to pay a royalty of, $10,000 if she is not going to make any movie out of it. Till that point in time, she has to keep paying. So she started working on a screenplay. She wrote some fantastic screenplay, and she started pitching it to various film studios of the country. None of them were interested because, her novel, or the novel that she chose to adapt into a screenplay, was based on a world war that happened some 110 years ago in Germany. So nobody was interested. I mean, the big studios, they were all moving on to Marvel stories, Avengers stories, and so on, DC Comics and so on, Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, and whatnot. So none of them were interested in producing a movie from the material that she believed in, right? So every year she had to pay this $10,000. At times she had to mortgage her house, pledge her house to raise the money to pay the estate, to keep the copyrights with her. And slowly the tide started turning around. In the last few years, war became a topic again. And in the last year, a couple of war-based movies, they reached the Oscar stage. And then the Ukraine war happened, right? The 21st century people, as I'm talking about you and me, we have slowly come to realize what a war could really do to people and places and to our world at large. People getting killed by bombs and houses exploding and people losing their body parts, and a lot of people, having to run from their homes for life and seeking asylum in nearby countries, and world superpowers, wrangling their arm twisting, one-upmanship, whatever, and a lot of countries, pledging money and arms to Ukraine, and Russia, stepping up on the aggression pedal. And this is an ongoing affair, which we have slowly got used to by now, but the horrors are still real, right? And she kept the hope on the novel and the story and the universal message it had that war is bad. Whether it happened some 1,000 years back or 100 years back or today or in the future, war is bad. We as humanity are much better off without going through wars. Before she reached this stage, where the global awareness has been rekindled about the fallacies of war, I think it was in 2015 or 16, she didn't have enough money to pay the annual royalty, which was $10,000, to retain the rights for the book. That time she saw an advertisement which basically was for a triathlete event, and the prize money was $10,000. I strongly believe, universe, it has a way to help people who dream and pursue their dream relentlessly, regardless of the obstacles they face in life. Ups and downs may come, but if a person is gung-ho about their dreams, somehow the universal forces will materialize and help this person to achieve their dream. Okay, for her, this triathlete event was that kind of helping hand given by universe, or so she thought. So she started preparing for it. A few days to go for the event, and she was all pumped up that she was a trained athlete and world medal winner, and world champion and all. So she was pretty confident that she would win that event. But tragedy struck her just the day before the event. While practicing her bike riding, she fell down and broke a shoulder. Just imagine, you strive for something, you dream for something, and the means to get your dream is so nearby, you're about to grasp it, and then you're hit by a tragedy. What an ordinary person in your shoes would do, probably would give up the dream and probably would think maybe next year, maybe later. But she was not an ordinary person. She spoke to her husband, and her husband said, okay, I know you are a pretty good athlete. The only thing you have to do is, while swimming, you use only one arm. And the rest you can do easily. I mean, you can run without disturbing your arm much. And on the bike also, you can balance pretty much. So if you're careful in swimming, you have a decent chance. So she took the chance. In the swimming leg of the three-legged triathlete event, she was behind others by 12 minutes. But by the time she finished the whole, the bike riding and the running, she became the winner and she got the $10,000 and she was able to pay off the royalty for that particular year. Right? Cut back to 2022, she finished the movie and the rights to stream the movie was, bought by Netflix. This is another interesting thing happened. Streaming movies into your homes. This was not possible in 2010 nor in 2015. So many things had to fall in place for her to achieve her dream because she was gung-ho about her dream and she was relentlessly pursuing it. So the streaming channel, Netflix, it bought the rights for the movie. It also actually funded her to produce the movie. So she became the screenwriter and part producer for the movie titled All Quiet in the Western Front, the same name as the original novel. And you'd be surprised to listen from me that, her movie had been nominated for 14 Oscars and I think 9 to 10 BAFTA awards. Oscars are given by United States of America and BAFTA is the equivalent award, scheme or equivalent award ceremony in the United Kingdom, right? And in UK, her movie won 9 BAFTA awards and it's a hot favorite to win the Oscars for this year in multiple categories. Lastly, Patterson, take a bow, my dear lady, your dream, your perseverance, and your commitment to your dream, and the way you chased up and raised above the obstacles life had constantly thrown in your path. You are a true inspiration to many of us who have some dream still alive, somewhere in our heart. So, my dear listeners, wherever you are, whoever you are, in whichever limited capability you have, if you have a dream, if you have the courage to pursue your dream, please never give up on your dream. The universe will find a way to reach you. It will open up avenues for you to fulfill your dreams. All you have to do is keep on focused, roll up your sleeves and keep doing your work regardless of the outcome. Sooner or later, you will reach your goal. This is the biggest message. This will be the biggest message of the 2023 Oscar ceremony and for the movie making world, from the movie making world to the rest of us. You will hear shortly, maybe in the next few weeks, about the results of the Oscars, and most probably her movie would have won a few awards. I'm pretty sure she would have won an Oscar for screenplay, the one that she mentioned when she just retired from active athleticism some 16 years back. Reporter who asked her, and many thought, what the heck, she is an athlete and she's talking about writing a screenplay, that too in a faraway place, and she said, she will Oscar, she must be bonkers. But she proved them all wrong because her dream was such a strong one and she totally believed in her dreams. My dear listeners, thanks for listening to this episode of The Great Indian Monologue. I'm your RJ Babuji janak rajan. This is Radio Udaan, spreading hopes to people all over the world. And I'm really happy and feel privileged to be part of this journey. Stay tuned, keep listening, stay blessed till I catch you on yet another episode of The Great Indian Monologue. Bye-bye.